15th of August. We're back at it. I was going to say at the grind, but it sounds so cheesy, doesn't it? Saying that, or hustling. It just sounds really cheesy. Anyway, I hope you're having all set for a good Monday. If you've just woke up, God help you, you've got me. But I wanted to talk about fixing low engagement. Now, really interesting topic, tough topic to do. Do say hello if you're up at this hour and you're watching me. Do say hello, add to the conversation, chat, all that kind of stuff. You should see a chat or a comment feature somewhere wherever you're watching this. How do you fix low engagement? Now, I've had this conversation with a lot of people about how do you fix low or no engagement. If you're putting posts out and you're not getting people engaged with it, it's not getting the traction that you think you should be getting. I want to kind of give you some things that will help this morning. So that's what we're going to do. So I've met lots of people. Obviously, LinkedIn is my primary channel. When I look at some of my other channels, they've kind of been left alone a little bit, primarily because it takes attention and energy to kind of build a channel. So whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, they need input to get them going. And when I talk to a lot of people and they say I'm getting low engagement, what generally is happening is they're trying to make one piece of content for everything. Morning, Mike. Do I ever sleep? A little bit, occasionally. Once or twice. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I do. I've never been able to sleep for very long. And I'm loving kind of doing this live stuff in the morning because I can get something out. It helps me process as well. I love doing lives because it helps me process better. I know that seems a bit weird, but one of the things that coming to the engagement piece people struggle with is that they've been creating content for every channel. Now, whilst it does translate a lot of times and it does convert easy, sometimes it doesn't work so well. If you treat your social media solely as a distribution channel, you're not going to get the engagement you want. So I see this. People have used their LinkedIn just for outreach and then suddenly start creating content and they can't seem to get off the ground. I've experienced this on my Facebook page, my Dean Seddon Facebook page, because I used to use it years ago. I've just basically kept pushing stuff to it, but not really actually adding anything on it, just distributing through it. And so guess what? It goes to ground zero. So if you want to improve your engagement, first things first, you've got to create content that's fit for that platform. That's number one. Now, of course, what I do is I focus on LinkedIn first, and then everything else kind of gets the redistribution because that's my primary channel. But as I've started to build out Instagram and Twitter, slowly but surely, after years of neglect, I am starting to invest more time in creating content for that channel. So that's the first thing. The content has to be relevant for the channel, the quirks of the channel. That doesn't mean you need to go on a 6-month Twitter mastermind or Instagram mastermind. It just means you have to appreciate it's a different channel. So you do things differently. And you can go into Google and Google will tell you what's the best way to post on Instagram. All that stuff's straightforward. What people miss or what people struggle with or people don't realize is that in order to get a channel going, there's this upfront level of effort you have to put in outbound engaging with people, growing your network or your follower base. There is an effort that has to be put in. An effort that at the time, if you look at it as effort, a block of effort, the block of effort at those early stages does not make sense. Why does it not make sense? Because you are doing way more activity in the early days than benefit. And I'm not talking for months, I'm talking for a few weeks. You have to consistently go outbound engaging to get your account moving. And that is one of the things that people give up on first. They don't want to do it. What they want is they want everything to come to them served on a silver plate, right? And it just doesn't work that way. You have to outbound engage, put the effort in for a few weeks, really doing the effort so that you start to get noticed, you start to build up that network, you start to build up an engaged audience, all of that stuff. It used to be many moons ago, it used to be a straightforward thing that you could just go on a platform, push content, and it would get the reach. But that doesn't work anymore. Instagram doesn't work that way anymore. Twitter doesn't work that way anymore. You have to almost prime your account by outbound engaging. If you don't do it, you'll always struggle with this problem. And of course, Emmanuel's put a question. Emmanuel's put a promo in the comments. Okay. Of course, doing all of that heavy lifting in the early stages, you want to find a secret hack way around it. And you can boost posts, promote posts, and that will go so far. But the problem is, to get a regular, highly engaged audience, you kind of have to put in the work, because I can go and promote posts, boost posts, put 10 quid behind them, and that does have an effect. But what you need is a group of people to see you multiple times, not different people seeing you different times. So what you really want is, okay, I need to build an audience. I need to build an audience of about 100 people, say. Let's just say 100 people, an engaged audience of 100 people. Okay, whatever channel it is, I've got to get those 100 people to see me multiple times and to interact with me multiple times to build up that following. So I have to take control of that, go outbound and start engaging with the same people multiple times over a concerted period to start to build some traction. So it's very labor intensive in the early stages. And it's labor intensive because you can't just go and outbound engage and just say, great post. I know that, that might seem like an easy thing to do, but actually you need to really add to the discussion. So you need to, if you see somebody's post, you've got to contribute to it. And not just once, multiple times over a few weeks, to get that traction to the point where they will reciprocate and help you get seen. This is the only way to get an account going, other than if you've got a massive advertising budget, massive paid ads budget, or you can produce what I would class as top draw content every single time. Now, I know we would all love to say we can produce top draw content every single time, but the reality is, for most businesses, even the big businesses, there's budget constraints, there's time constraints. And if you're a full-time content creator, that's all you do. So you can work on that all the time. But the reality is, most of us have got customers to service, accounts to look at, So there's only so much time you've got. So if you want to get any social media channel functioning, you absolutely have to invest some time in that initial groundwork of outbound engaging with people to build up that visibility. Once you've started to get that traction, you can ease back a bit, but you might ease back then over another 3 to 6 weeks. And then you've started to get an account where it's moving by itself. So it sounds like, oh, this is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But if you don't do that groundwork, you'll never catch it'll never catch any momentum of its own. Yeah, Mike, absolutely right. TV ads show us themselves multiple times. And that's the key here. To build an engaged audience, they have to see you multiple times. And in the early stages, where your following's not very high and maybe your content isn't as you'd want it, you've got to overcompensate with the relationship element. You've got to overcompensate with that because you need those eyeballs, those consistent eyeballs, not just consistent numbers of eyeballs, but the consistent eyeballs. So you build, like, cheesy way of saying it, but like a mini fan base. And it might be 10 or 15 people to begin with. And then you might scale out a little bit more and scale out a little bit more and scale out a little bit more. And what happens is basically some of those people you've invested in start to invest back in you. And that's not something you do overnight. And that's how you get the traction to get moving. Now, of course, if your content isn't adding value, if your content isn't useful to people, they are not going to engage with it. If your content is abstract, what do I mean by abstract? If I look on some people's content as I'm scrolling, there's no reason to like, there's no reason to comment because it's just information dumped. There's no element of discussion. There's no way to actually engage with it. Go and see this for yourself. This is a really good exercise, right? Really good exercise. Now, I tell people to do this on LinkedIn. And the reason this exercise will help you appreciate, or it won't help you appreciate, it will help you understand how to write better posts. I do this on LinkedIn. Go into LinkedIn, go into your home feed and flip to the most recent posts. So flip the toggle where it says most top or most recent or recent. Flip it to the most recent and set yourself a challenge of doing 25 comments on the post that you see. What you'll find is the vast majority of posts are near impossible to comment on. The vast majority. Why? Because there's nothing useful in them. They're announcements. They are lots of things. If you look through them, a lot of the posts and a lot of the content have no need to respond to them. They don't encourage you. They don't ask questions. So the reason why I'm saying go do this is because when you start to look at that, you start to realize, why should I be making it hard for people to comment? I should be making it easy for people to comment. I should make it easy for people to like, which is a sign of agreement, or it's a sign of usefulness. So likes are a sign of usefulness. Comments are a sign of people are really interested in this topic. And I've seen this more with my lives. Some things I talk about is low, and other things I talk about and get massive engagement. And as you start to post, you learn two things: which ones get you the engagement, i.e. likes and comments and discussions and visibility and all those things, and which ones get your message out. And sometimes they're different. Sometimes you have a message to share that isn't necessarily the most easiest thing people can engage with. And I'll give you an example of this. Coaches. Some coaches deal with very sensitive issues. You know, they might deal with weight. They might deal with mental health. They might deal with lots of different things that are very difficult for people to engage with, or because of stigmas, societal pressures, whatever it is, they feel uncomfortable engaging with it. I call it the erectile dysfunction problem. In that, if you see a post about 10 steps on social media, 10 steps to solve erectile dysfunction, right? And you have that problem. I know I'm dropping the bar low a little bit, but I talk about this all the time. If you have that problem and you see a post on 10 ways to fix erectile dysfunction on, say, LinkedIn, right? You might be interested in that post, but you certainly don't want to go, oh, this is really helpful, thank you, do you? Right? Why? Because there's certain things that are personal and you don't want to talk about it. And people will not like it. Why? Because they wouldn't want to put out in the public space that they align with that. Now you say, well, it's just a post. They don't have to align with it, but they think they do. So sometimes you have a message that people may resonate with, but don't want to engage with. Yeah. They don't want to engage with it because it's uncomfortable for them. That's where your engagement content, where messages that align, of course, they're not out of the ordinary, but you give them the opportunity to engage with the other types of content where it doesn't force them into a place where they feel like they have to align, they communicate about their challenges and frustrations in a public space. And I see this a lot in the kind of human services industries, where they're helping human beings with challenges they have personally. So that could be weight, it could be mindset, it could be about money, it could be about anything that they don't want to put or don't want to feel that they have to talk about in a public space. That's the key. Again, with promotions, people don't tend to like or comment on promotions because unless they're really, really highly engaged. Why? Because they're not so interested. They don't want to signal that they're a customer or a buyer. So that's where you need that different type of content, and you mix the two together. This one is to help me build an audience and get visible and get noticed. And this one is where I actually get out the things I want to say that perhaps people might not want to engage with. But because you're doing that, the engagement side, people start to see the other side. So if you're a coach talking about weight loss, for an example, a lot of people don't want to publicly talk about weight loss, and feeling overweight and all that stuff. There's a big stigma attached to it. So you might talk about other things that are related and then talk about the weight loss piece, and the people who see that are more likely to see that. And that's how you balance those two out. And if you're banging on about weight loss, there is a percentage of people who are in crisis will go, do you know what? I give up. I've got to find something. That's it. But the vast majority of people won't be in that space. They'll be in the kind of borderline. They need tipping over. They've not reached the tipping point yet where they know I've got to do something about it. This is desperate times, desperate measures. Do you know what? Let's do it. Most people aren't in that tipping point. And so that's why you have your engagement, is so that it keeps the people who aren't at the tipping point around you. And that's how you build a following. Outbound engage first, do the groundwork to get you visible, and then alternate your content to make sure, one, you've got stuff that people can absolutely like and comment on so that you're seen and you stay seen. Then there's the message you really want to share. Now, of course, if you can combine those two together, absolutely do it. But I know in most businesses, there's out and out things they want to say that they know people are not going to like and comment on, like I'm hosting this or I'm hosting that. Then you've got the other side where it's like, yeah, anybody can engage with that, or your target audience can engage with that comfortably. Remember those things. Right. I don't know how long I've been on this morning, but Emmanuel, thank you so much for your feedback. What was I going to say? If you watch this and you go, I'd love to get more into the content, I'm going to run a content challenge from the 1st of September. I'll put a link in the chat of this live if you want to do it. So we'll look at how do you make content easier to produce, faster to produce, and more relevant and more engaging. And we're going to look at a very simple way you can generate leads across channels. It'll be LinkedIn focused, but actually it works on Instagram, Facebook. It works in all those places too. So if you want to know about the content challenge, it starts on the 1st of September. It's for 7 days. We had a really good one. I think it was early July. Feels like, yeah, it was early July. We had a really good content challenge early July. We're going to run another one. It's a little bit longer because I just felt the first one, we were just getting into our stride and we finished it too early. So I'm going to do it again for 7 days. So if you want to join the content challenge, drop me a message. I'll put a link in the comments of this. But there we go. Simple reminder. If you want to build your engagement, you want to get more engagement, first things first, outbound. Go outbound engaging with people and build those connections and relationships. And I don't mean just connections. I mean actually reciprocal engagement. So go out and engage with people, and it will bring people back to you and get you visible. Then make sure your content has some engageable elements. So we call them engagement posts, things that will get you seen, get you noticed, get you engaged. And then the business content you want to share, get that out too, and mix and match so that it always balances itself out. Anyway, I'm going to go because I got a million and one things to do. Have a good week. Thank you for joining me this morning. Really appreciate it. If we're not connected, come find me on whichever social platform you are. Send me a friend request. Follow me on Instagram. Connect on LinkedIn. And I really appreciate you showing up so early in the morning on a Monday. So I'll see you probably later in the week.